Good evening. We're going to be doing a session today. You were brought in by your mother, and I just want to give you a few ground rules before we get started. Anything that you say in here is held in confidence. This is for both you and your mother. And anything you say, as I said, is held in confidence. The only thing that would not be held in confidence is if you were going to harm yourself or someone else, or if it were something of an illegal crime. Those things I would have to break confidentiality on. Other than that, everything that you say in here to me stays in here with me, and anything that would be discussed with you giving me permission to speak to your mother about them. Is that kind of clear, or do you have any questions about that?
Questions? I can't trust you to do that.
Well, you just have to kind of fall into trusting people at some time, but anything you say here is held in trust. You don't have to trust me because you don't have an experience with me, but I'm hoping we can build on one. You think that would be okay?
I'll try and see.
Okay. Your mom's going to step out, and I just want to talk to you for a little bit about what's been going on. It seems that from what your mom was telling me, you've been very good in school until recently, and things seem to have taken a change for the worse. Can you tell me what's brought about this change for you?
I don't know.
Well, I don't know is kind of an answer that means that you might know, but you might not be willing to tell me. Is that what I don't know means?
Just don't want to talk about it.
Okay. We don't have to talk about it right now, but we are going to have to talk about it at some time. I know your grandfather died recently. Can you tell me a little bit about it?
Nope.
Well, your mom told me you and your grandfather were very close. Is there anything you'd like to tell me about a special time you spent with him? Well, I understand it's been very recent when he died, and I know you have a lot of things coming up. You seem to have a pretty good relationship with your parents. Can you tell me more about how you get along with your mom?
Fine.
Well, can you give me an example of how you get along fine?
Don't think of anything right now. Just really get along fine now. So if I do something for her, I do it. And, get together, we have a good time.
Well, that sounds like you have a good relationship. Can you tell me a little about the relationship you have with your father? I understand that he lives in Alaska.
I would see him a few times a year, and we have a good time and enjoying each other, enjoying things.
What kind of things do you do?
Go to the park, have fun, and fishing.
Have you caught anything exciting? I understand he lives in Alaska. It seems like you wouldn't catch the usual trout.
No. It's not. I'm trying to catch a salmon, but they're kind of hard to catch.
Well, you're going to have a few more times to catch some salmon. And right now, you were telling me that you get along well with your parents, that you see your dad occasionally, that you get along well with your mom. But I'd like to know a little bit about you. What do you feel are the best things about you in particular?
Hello? Nothing particular.
Well, from the information that I got from your mom, she says that you've been very good in school, but that your grades dropped recently. And she was telling me that you're a very good friend and that you're a mechanical genius when it comes to putting things together, and that you do a lot of electronics work. She says it's a hobby you have. Can you tell me a little more about that?
It's really nothing, just work, following schematics and things, and just play it out. And just really what to put together and what to connect.
Well, considering that if I hold a screwdriver, it cries, that sounds like you're a step ahead of me. Sounds like you're very smart. I don't know anything about schematics. And you're what, 11, talking about schematics that you can follow? Did you do this mostly with your grandfather, or did you do this with your dad before he moved to Alaska?
Both.
Oh. So you did both of those with them. I have a question, because I know that you don't come here just because you wanted to see me, no matter how beautiful I am. But things have been happening where you've been taking things from your classmates. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah.
Can we go into it a little more later on?
Maybe.
I can deal with a maybe. I have a question for you. What do you want to get out of meeting with me?
Nothing.
You have nothing you want? Do you know why you're here?
That's all.
Well, the thing is that right now, with you taking things from your classmates, it's been very uncomfortable for your friends. And I'd like to see you get that resolved. You're a very bright kid. You're very smart, from what I've been told. From your own mouth, you read schematics. I can barely read a dictionary with help. So I know that that's wrong. And I'd kind of like to know why you're doing it.
Something different, a challenge.
So you feel you aren't getting enough challenges in life?
No.
So if we could work where you could get more challenges in your life that don't involve taking things from your classmates, do you think that's a goal we could work towards? Because these challenges can eventually get you into a lot of trouble. And since I know you don't want to meet with me all the time, it might be better to direct that interview somewhere else. Well, I know that you have a lot of changes coming up. Your mother was telling me that you're going to have some changes where you're going to move from your house to an apartment. with you and your grandmother. How do you feel about that move? Has anybody sat down and talked to you about it? Okay. So if we were to invite your mother in and she came in, would you like me to mediate while you asked her? Because this is a safe environment. You can ask your mother anything you want in here. Are you curious about why you're moving? I know that the move is going to entail you going to a new school. Are you nervous about that? Well, I can understand you don't want to go. Seems that you have a lot that you like about your school, even though you're doing things to your classmates. Can you tell me some of the particular things you like? Well, I have a question for you. With this move, what do you think is going to happen to you in the future? Well, seems like you're kind of ignoring how you feel. Do you feel anything about what's happening? Because you expressed that no one has told you anything about that. It seems to me you might be feeling frustrated about not being told anything. Is that something you're feeling?
It's a little bit, but just there we go.
Well, I can understand you don't want to go. And with that, you've got a lot of changes going on. And you seem to want to get a feeling of some sort out. Is that why you're taking things from your classmates? To get a feeling?
Don't know why.
Well, we all have questions that we don't know the answer to. But in this case, because taking things from your classmates got you here, and you seem a little like you don't want to be here, what can I do to help you so you're not taking things from your classmates so you don't have to see me? Well, that may be what you want, but in this case, I don't think that's going to be the best thing for you. Because if we let you be, you'll just continue doing something that's getting you in trouble. And I would like you, being as smart as you are, not to follow that path. And you don't have a previous history of doing this, and your grades were really up there, and everything is dropped with the move and with your grandfather's death. It seems like that's been a whole lot of things that happened all at once. I would like to suggest to you, just a suggestion, that you participate in a youth group of Grief Share. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
Well, Grief Share is a place where you sit among people who've also had a loss like you have, and who are dealing with that. The reason that I suggested it is because your grandfather just died recently, I know you were pretty close to him from what your mother has told me. And I think that that could be affecting you right now. And it might be a more positive experience for you to talk to somebody who's going through the same thing you are. Because misery loves company, as the saying goes. And we all want somebody who understands what we're talking about and who can understand it from the perspective of someone your age. Is that something you'd like to consider?
No.
Well, you don't have to do it today, but I would like you to consider it, and I'd like to talk to your mother about taking you there, just to try it out. Can you make me a deal that you would try it for maybe 3 times? Because I think that you're smart enough to handle something like that. Just 3 times. If you don't like it after the 3rd time, you come back, you talk to me, you tell me I didn't like it didn't do anything for me, but you give it a chance. Have you ever played baseball? When you played baseball, did you like it the first time you struck out? Well, going to a therapy group like Grief Share is like hitting a home run, because you'll be with people who have been in the same position you're in, and who you can talk about and who will understand what you have to say. So I think if you gave it maybe 3 tries, just like in baseball, 3 strikes, it might help. Can you commit to me to going to just 3 meetings with other kids who've had losses like you?
Maybe.
Well, maybe it's kind of one of those things where it seemed like it got you out the question, but it didn't. Can I get a firm commitment of 3 tries? Just like in baseball, 3 strikes? What happens if you hit a home run?
It's a home run.
You play baseball.
You play baseball, but you say I hit a home run, then that wouldn't count.
That would mean that you like going, and you might want to go back for a 4th time. But after 3 tries, you'll at least have given it a decent chance. If you have the 3rd strike and it's out, you come back and you tell me I didn't like it, I didn't connect with anybody. But you commit to talking to me about your grandfather, because it seems like it's really affecting you. Your mother says you're a different person since your grandfather died. I'm pretty sure that you might have some strong feelings you might not want to talk to me about, because you said you don't trust me. But you might want to talk to somebody who's having those same feelings. So this gives you another option.
Maybe.
Okay. Now, the other thing I noticed is that your grades have dropped according to your mother. When she came in and she filled out a questionnaire about what's going on with you. Would you like me to arrange tutoring so you can get your grades back up? Because you're a bright boy. I'd hate to see that go to waste. I know it's not the coolest thing in the world, but Okay. So if I talk to your mother and your school about getting you a tutor for, say, 4 days a week
Yeah.
till you catch up,
Yeah.
what's wrong with 4 days a week? Because you're bright, you'll be caught up in a couple of weeks from what I've heard. Sounds like 4 seems like a pretty overwhelming number. You have something you do after school?
Not really.
Well, this could be something you do after school for just a little while. Can we try for 4 days for the next 2 weeks? How about 4 days for 1 week? 1 week is not that long in the scheme of things. Just seems like it. Because I'd hate to see you lose that reputation that you have for being so smart. And it can't be that hard. You've already shown me you're bright. For 1 week, and then you come back and you tell me how it went. Does 1 week sound more comfortable rather than 2 weeks of 4 days each? Well, it's something I'd like you to consider. You've always had good grades from what I've heard. And that's not something that comes easy to most people. I don't want to see you lose that. You've taken a lot of blows lately. You're losing your original home where you lived with your grandfather. You're moving schools. You've lost your grandfather. I don't want to see you lose your schoolwork too. That seems like it'd be too much. So I'd like to kind of keep that in place.
That's already too much.
Too much? Sounds like you're going through a lot. And you were saying that your mother hasn't told you anything about why you're moving? Would you like me to call your mother back in so she can tell you personally why you're moving? Do you want to know the answers?
No.
Okay. You don't have to want to know the answers, but for most people, riding around blindly kind of feels pretty uncomfortable. You might be more comfortable knowing why you're moving. And if you'd like for me to arrange a time where your mother comes in and we talk about it in maybe the next session so that you can be a little more comfortable with the idea, we could do that.
No.
Well, we don't have to do it next session, but we could do it eventually. Because you can't have a problem and not deal with it. And you've already said you don't know. And curiosity is the brainchild of genius. Seems like you've got a lot on your plate. with everything I've asked you. Do you have anything you'd like to ask me?
No.
Well, you have a lot of changes that are upcoming, and a lot of them seem to be pretty overwhelming. Is there anything I can specifically do to help you? Okay. For right now, I'd like to know a little bit more about where you see yourself in a year from now with everything that's going to happen. Well, we usually try to craft our futures. And since you don't know, I'd like to ask you, where would you like to be a year from now? Well, since you don't know, I would like to set some goals for you and see if they would work for you. A year from now, I can see you settled into your new school, being happy, not taking things from your classmates, and having a good relationship with your mom, your dad, and your grandmother. And that's the goal I'd like you to have in front of you. Does that sound like a workable goal for you? Well, for now, until you'd like to come up with a goal of your own, how about we work towards that plan for now? And if you want to change it later on, you tell me that that's not what I see myself doing in a year from now. I want to change it, and you tell me what we do. How does that sound? Okay. That's all I'm asking you to do, is to just try it. If you don't like it, we'll change it around until we find something that you do like. In the meantime, we've kind of come to the end of our time, and I've had fun talking to you, Joshua. I'd like to see you again next week. Would that be okay? Okay. In the meantime, just for now, I know you want to think about it, but since we're already here, we may as well make the appointment. You can always cancel, but just for now, 1 week at a time. Does that sound like a plan?
Yeah.
Just 1 week? That's not a big commitment of time. You come back in a week and tell me what's going on? Okay. Well, while you're thinking about it, I'd still like you to commit to seeing me just 1 week from now. Come back. Because you said you don't trust me, but the only way you can build a trust relationship is you have to see the person more than once to give them a chance. So I need you to see me more than once. Would that be okay? Okay. Well, I know you don't want to commit to me, but I'll look forward to seeing you next week as much as possibly able to. So I'll look forward to seeing you next week, and I'll send you out with your mom, okay, Joshua? Good night, Joshua.